What is up, Nuggets? It's your boy, Killer Pizza, here with a brand new video for you rascals and rapscallions out there. Now, I am very excited for this video today. In fact, this is going to be more of a public service announcement to watch this movie, more so than a review. And the movie we're talking about is 2022's The Barn Part 2, written and directed by Justin Seaman. Now, this is his follow-up film from the original Barn that came out in 2016, which you can watch for free right now on Tubi. And I also have a review on my channel, so check that out after. I highly suggest checking this film out, because this one fucking rules. They outdid themselves with this one. And honestly, this is going to be a lot of vague rambling. I don't know where to go with this one. I've been wanting to review this, but I just can't find the right words for it because it's so fucking awesome. First of all, I'll get into the plot, and this will give a bit of spoilers if you haven't seen the first one, because the first one, to give a little backstory, follows a guy named Sam and his friend Josh. They're going out trick-or-treating on the way to a rock concert because Sam's really into Halloween, his rules of Halloween, which is pretty fun. And everybody in his life is telling him, you're too old to be into this shit, because he's like 17, 18, like, you know, move on. So him and his buddy go out for like their last final hoorah for Halloween and end up getting sucked into this like crazy ass world in the barn with all these monsters and shit. And it ends in kind of a cliffhanger where Josh and Sam, you'll just have to see it. And they explain it because this movie starts 3 years later with Sam's interest, Michelle, who's right here on the cover. She's in college now, and Halloween has been banned in their hometown for 3 years now, and the lift on Halloween is done. They can have Halloween again, so her and her best friend and all the sorority sisters decide, we're going to throw a big old haunted house party in a barn. I don't know why you do that, post-traumatic syndrome or whatever they call it. I probably wouldn't want to go back to a barn, but I digress. But it's apparently in honor of Sam and Josh, and they're going to raise money for whatever. They got 2 levels of this barn. It's pretty much like a haunted house, which if you're a fan of like Funhouse or movies like that from the 80s, the aesthetic is pretty similar in certain ways. It's a lot of fun. Who doesn't like a haunted house setting in a horror movie? But anyways, pretty much through them setting up this party, the gates of hell, which is like this sewer drain that holds all these monsters, because the sewer drain, or the well, I should say, kind of connects straight into hell. All these monsters come out, and they wreak havoc again for the first time in 6 years. And that includes these awesome looking monsters on here, which you'd have to see the movies to truly appreciate it. We got Hollow Jack, I believe his name is, who's like a pumpkin head. They all have these really cool powers and stuff too. And then we have the Scarecrow, who has like the corn head. It's corn. And then we have right here the main guy, the Boogeyman, who's like a miner. This is where all the history comes from. That's how the well connects to hell. But anyways, they come back and they start terrorizing and killing everybody. Like, this movie gets going right off the rip. There's so many kills in this. So much good practical effects. And honestly, the plot from there, in the most simple way, is they're just trying to stop these monsters from taking over. Which there's more subplot and story added in, but, you know, this is a vintage, classic, throwback horror movie. That's how shit went back in the day, and it was just fine, you know. Trying to escape the killers, we'll pad the story from there. Not saying this was padded, because this was a well thought out movie. I fucking love this fucking film, man. There's so many good cameos in this movie too. We got Doug Bradley. You can see some of them on the slipcover. Doug Bradley, he plays the grandpa of Sam, and at one point he gives the folklore of these 3 monsters, which you didn't hear in part 1. And you can really see like his stage work, his like, because he used to be like a stage actor or something back in the day before Hellraiser. And you can really tell because he really holds your attention when he's telling the story, like a ghost story, man. We got Darcy the Mail Girl in this. We got Joe Bob Briggs playing a cameo. Darcy's actually one of the co-eds, so she actually has some good screen time on this. We also have Linnea Quigley, of course, who played a very minor role in the first film, and she's got a lot more camera time in this, and I absolutely love that, man. Like, the more Linnea Quigley in my life, the better. We also have the guy who played the original Jason, the kid. I don't remember his name. The guy who played Dr. Rock in part 1, but Ari Leleman or whatever. But yeah, you guys, I'm not going to get too much into the story. I tried to record this video, thought about it many times, and I just thought I don't want to record it because I can't do it justice. there's too much. Either I'm gonna ramble on and talk about the whole fucking movie for an hour, or I'm gonna cut it short and I can't do it justice. I can't say enough that you should watch this film. The aesthetic of it, for one, the story is so good. It's not the most complex story. It's pretty basic, but sometimes less is more. Especially like when it comes to throwback like this, like horror films. It brings me back to like the good old horror flicks like I used to rent as a kid from the video store. And it just works. You can tell Justin Seaman, the guy who directed this is a passion project. It was funded through Indiegogo, part 1 and 2. And the funny thing is, like, part 1 and 2, he wrote when he was a child. Like, he shows it, like, in the behind-the-scenes stuff, that he has, like, literal, like, coloring book pages. Like, he drew this shit out, like, as, like, a, not like a high schooler, not like a middle schooler. Like, he wrote the shit and made all the monsters when he was, like, in grade school. Which is fucking wild, which is awesome. Which he also introduces 2 new monsters. We have, like, this guy who's kind of like a pig or a hog and just, like, bites the shit out of people and rips their guts out. And we have like this crow who has like this really cool power where like he can spit this venom or inject his blood on people and he creates zombies. And then, so yeah, this movie has a bunch of zombies too. Like that was a nice surprise for me. I loved the first one. And I'm like, all right, these monsters are going to come back and wreak havoc. And they're like, oh, we got zombies too. That's fucking awesome, man. I feel like okay, before I get to the kills, I got to say also, for indie film, this was shot so well. The sets were beautiful. There's people in the behind the scenes documentary which I watched that are saying like, "Oh, I've worked big Hollywood shows, dickheads." And I get to this shit, and I thought it would be like low budget, but the sets were great. You know, less is more sometimes. You got to maximize your minutes in a way. You know, make more out of less. And this movie, that's what it does. The soundtrack, they have some original scores in this. They have their own theme song. I just noticed watching the commentary today, like when the girl was rolling up in the police car at one point in this movie, the song playing was like, it felt like it was a tribute to like Return of the Living Dead or something. There's tons of tributes in this, by the way. But so overall, man, like I'll just say before I get into the kills, like it's shot good. The music's good. The acting isn't like the best overall, but I mean at the same time, I'm not an actor, so I don't feel the right to criticize. I like it. I think it has charm. I mean, I love this shit. When we come to the kills, man, it opens up with like a campfire scene where they're like telling stories about the legend of the barn, which the original legend is you go to the barn, knock on it 3 times, I believe, like say trick or treat or something like that, and then the demons come up. And the guy's telling the story by the campfire, and he goes, and the little kid says, "Oh, you mean like the same thing like the other scout leader told us to do earlier?" And he's like, the guy's like, "What? Oh fuck, we're fucked." And then that's where we get introduced to these 3 killers coming back, these 3 monsters in the opening credits before the credits even hit. We get kills, and this motherfucker's killing kids. I keep reviewing all these movies where these kids are being killed, and it's like, I told a friend of mine about this. Like, you like movies where they kill kids? Like, nah, man, but like, it's unpredictable. Like, I mean, you don't see it coming. Yeah, he kills these motherfuckers, and then scalps the fucking scout leader and puts the wig on his head. The miner does. Nasty stuff. So some of these kills, man, honestly, let's see. We have one point where 2 of the monsters grab a guy on each side of his head and rip his head apart all the way down the center, and they show it. Everything I'm saying, they show it. We have a scene where the killer takes a knife and slashes it straight up the girl's back, and it exposes her whole spine like a Rey Mysterio back tattoo. And then then we have a scene where the guy gets his face ripped off while he's still alive as his face comes off, and he's screaming. A bunch of head smashes, people stomping on heads exploding. I'm gonna hate myself for this one after this because I'm gonna forget so many of these dope ass kills. I'm almost speechless talking about this movie. It's not perfect. It's definitely not perfect. And a lot of people probably wouldn't even like this film. But for a guy like me, this really hit the spot. Something I'm proud of about this movie is, for one, we have a sequence where Linnea Quigley played, like, she still to this film, she plays like a really uptight, kind of like Bible beater, for lack of better words. And she's trying to shut down Halloween in the original film. And she has like a nightmare in the beginning of this one, part 2, where she wakes up of all these zombies knocking on her door and ripping her guts out. And I like that as like a callback to Return of the Living Dead. You see like Linnea Quigley with zombies again. And then later on, something I like about Linnea Quigley, well, I like everything about Linnea Quigley, is they have like the standoff from the church, which I'm kind of like bouncing back and forth, but at one point towards like moving towards the third act, all the zombies become reanimated, and we have a really good chase scene with once Sam comes back. Sam does come back with Michelle, and they're running through the woods. That I like the way that was shot, and I like the music. They make it to the town hall where they were having a meeting where fucking Lloyd Kaufman is the mayor. I forgot to mention Lloyd Kaufman. He's in this bitch. Lloyd Kaufman fucking rules. I might not like all trauma movies, but I think Lloyd Kaufman is the fucking man for what he does. But which he also gets killed, man. Some guy fucking reaches straight in his head and is like reaching through his eye sockets and everything with his fucking palm. It's fucking gnarly. We have a scene where like they have a standoff. Linnea Quigley, the dude from that played Baby Jason, and all our leads, and like one other extra, and you got all these zombies walking up. Which, listen, the commentary, there's two little baby zombies in front, and that's apparently the writer and director's kids, which is fucking cool. I like that. But I'm just gonna get to what Linnea Quigley was doing. She played it so well. She's like, for how like sexy she was back in the day, she's like playing her age well, where she's like in like the dress, like being like, she looked like someone's grandma or mom, and she's like all scared. Oh my god! And she takes the chainsaw reminiscence of Hollywood chainsaw hookers, and she just starts fucking killing all these zombies. And the whole time her acting is so good. Linnea Quigley, she's like so like, oh my god, oh, why am I doing this? And there's this one shot in particular where like all the blood spraying on her face, and she's just covered with blood. And she takes there's these effects, I can't put them over enough. She's like literally just driving the shit straight through someone's head like you're carving a fucking turkey on Thanksgiving. She does another one straight into someone's face, and it's like, Justin Seaman, if you see this video, I want to personally thank you because you let me see Linnea Quigley brutally and graphically kill multiple zombies with tons of blood and gore in 2022. That's what the doctor fucking ordered, man. Like, that alone, for me, man, watch the fucking movie, man. Oh my god. So many fucking cool kills, man. You know, people getting their fucking guts ripped out. Like I said, I don't even remember, man. If I mentioned this, I did a couple takes, you know, because I want to say the right shit. You know, there's one point where these goblins show up. These goblins, they reanimate like everything. They come from hell or whatever. But I don't even fucking know what's going on, man. But at one point, Darcy the mail girl is in here, and they're like, because they're all playing roles in this fucking funhouse. So a lot of the times when these killers show up, it's based on the urban legend. So there was people that like were dressed like them, so they would show up into a room and be like, oh, why are you in this level? You need to be at the other place, you know? Or, wow, your mask is really nice, man. You're really amping it up, you know, like shit like that. But there's one point where like Darcy's dressed as a nurse, and she's got her guy who's like a doctor, and they cut back to the doctor once the monsters show up, and the goblins are just biting his fucking dick off. And then we cut back, and they take Darcy down, and they bite her titty off, which is something I mentioned in previous videos. The first time I ever seen a titty bit off in a horror movie was Buried Alive. So if you want to see it again, check this one out. Which Darcy the mail girl shows her titties in this too, so that's the price of value alone. I don't know, man. This fucking movie rules. I would say if I had one complaint about this film, one complaint, I wish the 3 original monsters would have been harder to kill in the big fight scene. I love the fight scene. They have this big blow-off fight scene. I just wish it would have taken more, you know, to take them out. Because at the end of the day, if it was that easy to take them out, why wouldn't the cop have just grabbed his gun and shot the pumpkin in the head and blew it off? But, you know, I digress. That really doesn't bother me much. So I hope if anybody, I doubt anybody that's seen this movie watches this video. But if they do, that's no shot at you. No pun intended. But that's really the only thing I can really pick out. So we get to the end, and they have like these effects, like the Super Beast, which is like all 3 of these guys like mixed together. That's a wild fucking look right there. Fuck, man, I'm trying to think of more shit in this movie, like off the top of my head, dude. There were so many kills. I know I'm gonna forget something. I was blown away, man. Like, to be honest, man, sometimes, you guys, I work second shift, so sometimes, like, when I go to, like, pop a movie in, like, I get home at, like, 3 in the morning, I'm like, you know, I'm not trying to, like, pay so much attention, so I usually just throw on like The Office half the time. But after I watched this, I just watched it a second time with the commentary. And I'll probably watch it again. This movie was fucking awesome. Dude, like, everybody's talking about Terrifier 1 and 2, which I think Terrifier 2, for the money they made for indie film, for what their budget was, that's one of the best things to happen to horror in a long time. Horror movies are really thriving right now. And I think it's very important for this movie to be recognized. The Barn 1 or 2. Because, like I said, no disrespect to Terrifier 1 and 2. I think The Barn Part 1 and 2 is the legitimate, like, franchise horror film to get behind. This is unbelievable. It scratched my horror itch. You know, easy for me to say, right? Oh my god! And look at the packaging on this. It's not streaming yet. You can stream the first one, at least that I'm aware of. I got this off ScreamTeamReleasing.com, which I can leave the link in the description to pick this up. I highly suggest it. $20 for this. I believe there's a cheaper option without the slip. $25 you get it with all the autographs from the cast and crew, which I'll show you in just a sec. Look at that cover, man. I used to never be like a fan of slips until I got really into collecting, but goddamn, the VHS popping out, and then, ooh, speaking my lingo with that, you know, back. I love that, the VHS tape peeking out, front and back. And then I got mine signed, like I said, for about, I think, like $5 more. I was like, fuck it, I'll get it signed. So I love this artwork of the cover too, but not sure who all signed this. I mentioned it like in a horror page I follow on Facebook. Like, can anybody let me know who the fuck all signed this? Because, like, I respect everyone that was a part of this film. Man, just even looking at it, man, I want to watch it again. Like, I'm different, though. I mean, this might not be the same for you. I feel like everybody will enjoy this. But for me, like, I didn't check out Pearl. I didn't check out Barbarian. I didn't check out Smile. Each your own. If you like that, cool, man. I'm sure they're really good. I didn't check it out. My niche is 80s horror. This ruled. This, anybody would enjoy. Everyone should check this out. This will shock you. If you think watching like Saw is cool every year, oh, the next Saw when they came out, like, no, this sheds a light on practical effects, which some maybe younger people might not even know about how cool practical effects could be. And this movie will show it. This one's for the hardcore horror fans. Barn 1 and 2. This is for the real OGs of horror. You're gonna fucking love this film. And if this was a VHS tape, Justin Seaman, I would wear this bitch out as a kid. I would watch this over and over and over again. There's so much, you guys, I haven't even gotten into about this movie, because I would talk all night. This movie fucking ruled. Highly suggest picking this up, even if you're a mildly into horror. Well, what I'll say is, check out Part 1 on Tubi. Check out my review. Leave a comment. Come back to this or whatever. Check out Part 2. It's worth it. I mean, at the end of the fucking day, guys, $20 to support independent horror, well worth it. Right? All right. All right. I don't know where I'm going with this, guys. I just talk. I talk. But anyways, I love this movie, if you couldn't tell. Sometimes I try to like amp it up and be a little more animated in my videos, which when I started the video I was, because I was a little tired. And now here I am just yelling about The Barn Part 2. I'll yell it from the fucking rooftops. This movie fucking rules. Check it out, guys. Other than that, Blood Guts Gore. I'll check you next time.